I once thought life was a shopping list. Career, tick. Husband, tick. Kids, double tick. And that's what. And you all need to do is to pay with hard work. And if there is which is falling short, all you need to do is to swipe a little overtime to it. And that's what my belief carried me for a certain period of time. And I was that woman holding it all together, holding it with both my hands, and I could spread it as much and hold it tighter as I could. But here is what, let me tell you, I was holding on to a belief system which believed that if you are doing enough and if you're paying with hard work, it will be yours. And that is what, people around saw me. Rachna, you're doing extremely well. How do you manage it all? And I was smiling and yet thinking nobody knew the caffeine and the panics that I was surviving on. And that was the story of my life for a certain time. But one day, I was just laying on the bed and I realized, and I questioned myself, what if life isn't about collecting everything that I have? What if life is about becoming whole piece by piece? Piece by piece? Are you a broken pot that needs to be assembled? No, you are a beautiful making. And that's where one of the stories that came into me. A beautiful story of seed germination, which I'm sure when we were in our younger classes, we've learned and seen. That particular tray that we sowed the seed, it would bloom into plant, and it was told to us. So what we did, we simply put water and we worried when is that seed is going to bloom. As an observer, what we started to see, oh, that seed has bloomed. Oh, that is still blooming. Oh, that has not been there yet. Oh, there is something wrong with that seed as well. And that's what was everybody's life story. But let me tell you, that very story became my first map to life and parenting. And believe me, that's how I was surviving the teenage daughters that I have now. Moving ahead, this life lesson was put to test very soon. And my two daughters in the garden that I was growing were teaching me patience in every which way that no books could teach you. And believe me, it was a nightmare that at times I was living with all the tears that I had. But raising girls in traditionally Marwari household was not an easy one. Very early, I realized that if I want to raise girls and let them have a new individual and their identity, it was beyond the kitchen and the laundry baskets. So the journey began. I started telling them the stories of successful people, showing them billboards, and also telling them that everybody was chasing their dreams. But soon I realized this is not going to make a difference because what they were seeing was far apart. It was nothing close to them. It was not their reality. It was someone else's, and I was painting it on to them. So here is what I realized, that they needed to see someone close, someone real who could smell both of perfume and detergent at the same point of time, who would win because there is tears, but there are late nights as well. So here, my friends, that's when I realized that I need to be that woman, that role model in their life. And so I went on that journey of becoming that woman in their life. And that's when I realized that if you are ticking all the boxes correctly, you will be there and you will have it all that you want to do. Now, here is one thing that I realized, that every growth had its own time and the comparison was killing every bit by bit. And that's when my daughters were also learning to grow in a different manner. Moving ahead, what I understood, when they just not needed to see the trophies the people were winning, they also needed to see the sweat. I started my dream venture and I moved ahead because I was to make them believe that if I'm wanting them to chase the dream, I am chasing mine. And it was all I was trying because for someone. But what happened? I failed. And I failed badly. But I thought it was not the education that I had and the ring. So I went ahead, got a degree, and here is what. I failed again because you know what? Degrees don't give you the business acumen. It's the clarity, it's the courage, it's the falling in love with the failures and that thick skin of being rejected and learning to listen no on your face. That's what you get your business there. Moving ahead, I thought, let's just move ahead. I had some hope, but at the same point of time, the failures had shook me and I was in despair. I was contemplating between what I know and what could happen, between what now and maybe this time. And that's when I realized that every map that comes has its own map. And it has its own trajectory that you need to follow. If you're moving ahead, you need to know you to also step back, because that's what life is meant about. If you move 2 steps ahead, you will be a step back as well. Moving ahead, what I realized that if failures were something that is a part of life, how much do I need to fall in love with it? Then these failures taught me something which is very beautiful, that every time you fall, you will learn a lesson. And my failures taught me 3 priceless lessons. And first being that you need to listen. You listen more than preach. You need to listen to your customers, your people, your team, and your intuitions. They all are talking, not loudly, but maybe truthfully. Lesson 2. You need to build a life where your work can be a part of it, not the other way around. Because if your success starts eating the peace within, then here, let me tell you, it's the acid reflux. The 3rd lesson, fall and fall forward. Because if you fall and take it as a feedback form, you will feel it. You will learn it. And let me remind you, don't treat it like your ex. Just move on, because that's what failures will always teach you. Moving ahead, I also understood that these lessons, which were becoming the compass of my life, were not pointing me northwards, were pointing me inside. And that's when I realized that this compass was not only meant for business, it started to test my personal life. The life that I built with the hope of courage, hope that it will last forever. But here is what, let me tell you, it was happening and the world outside seemed very glittery. Inside, something was falling apart. I entered into an arranged marriage 20 years ago with hoping that trust, faith, and patience, and giving it time will also follow the suit of love in it. But here is what, it never happened. And that's the time when I realized that something that I was holding on needed to let go. I was building a bridge which was not where people could cross over. I was that person who had been holding on to everyone, their despair, their knowledge, their cryings and their spells of expectations. But soon I realized I was carrying too much. I was carrying too much and my shoulders failing me sometime. It was not about the picture of perfect selfies that we created. It was more about who I was being in that relationship, who I was in that as a personship. As I moved forward, I realized that when I stopped seeking approval and change, and people thought that I have changed, I was not seeking any more of their validation. And that's when I learned also to say no. And that made me the mean person. Am I the mean person? I asked. Or is it that I'm asking for a better sky? Or is it I'm asking that something was not mine? Every person in the society made me believe that it was wrong. But here is what, let me tell you. If something that doesn't go down well with you and your intuition says it is not right and it is wrong to you, listen to it. And that's what I did. And I thought, just let me give it that one last try. Let me work with distance. So I walked out of the home with hoping that distance would heal something that time hasn't. And I know that love will follow in and it will repair the fractured part of my lives. But here is what, another truth came knocking. If out of sight, out of mind. And that's where everything unfolded. It reminded me of the bridge that I had built where I was standing alone and I was waiting for people to cross over, but there were none on the other side. I was the one holding on to it. And that's the time I walked out. I walked out of that home that did not need me and did not want to cross over. And that's where I moved ahead. Not fallen, but yet I was rising, and I was rising as a person who I am. I was not anymore pretending. I was the presence that was created. I chose the daughters who were there with me, and they still stick by me, and they are my pillars of wisdom, life, and lessons that they have taught me. Nobody in life could be just a teacher because they are aging or they have seen the wisdom. It can come from the fraction parts of life. While I was trying to move ahead, and I was also falling apart, life came with a beautiful lesson. And that's when a story, it was teaching me that you need to fly. And that's when a story came across, which I still hold very close to my heart. A story of a butterfly that was converting into cocoon and was trying to move out from its cocoon. But what happened, the watcher who was passing by, it simply looked at it and found the butterfly struggling. And what it did was to just help it come out. The butterfly did come out. It looked beautiful, but here is what, let me tell you. The wings were weak and it could never fly. And that's what we all do. We choose battles for others, we fight it for them, and we think that we are protecting. And in this presence of overprotection, we kill the lessons of struggles that would come from there. And then that is what I realized, that if you want to love, you need to let the process of life happen for them. Love doesn't mean rescuing. Love means standing afar, yet close enough to help them pick up from their fall. Standing apart, but yet listening by their pillow side, the crying spells they have, letting them process what's been happening. And that's what this beautiful story taught me. So that's how the butterfly I thought I would become. And telling you moving ahead that having it all doesn't mean that you are putting all the pieces of the puzzles together to just create a beautiful picture. It's not about a perfectly family portrait having all parts, coordinated outfits, and putting together the smiles just lasting enough for that photo. I didn't needed one. I needed that unfiltered 10th take selfie, which was going to be and saying to people that here I made it, and I'm here just for you and for myself. And that's where having it all was not about the pretense or carrying too much. It was simply about having the presence of being who you are. It was not about finding those shackles where you could hold on to them and fit in because you were not uncomfortable, because you would become a better version of yourself and break all of these shackles and not shrink by it, but be enlightened and be bigger by the presence of it. So here is what the life is: an unfiltered selfie, and it is beautifully real if it is unpredictable and imperfect. So don't look for perfection, look for imperfect, beautiful moments that you have in life. Moving ahead, when all these lessons were coming, there is one thing that taught me very on, and that is that if you are in an uncomfort space, all you need to do is two things. Stay curious. If you're faltering, stay curious why you're faltering. Because when the curiosity is there, you will have the ways to seek your answers. Otherwise, you will flatten out and not be the part of that bloom that you're looking forward to. So, if you're looking for a map to move ahead in your journey, then remember, even if you take a wrong turn, Google Maps will say recalculating before giving you a next turn correct. So pause, stay curious, and find a new path. Because remember, we'd spoken about the seed that we were talking about. Some grew early, some later, and we judged all of it. Then here is what, let me tell you, you are that seed. You will crack beneath the soil. The sun will find you and the rain will come to you, and you will bloom when you are ready to bloom. There's never going to be too early and there's never going to be too late that you're going to bloom from. So before I leave the stage, here is what I want to leave you with. Stop trying to hold on to everything because it will break you. You don't need to carry everything with you. Start being the whole where you stand, and that is enough. Love yourself and pour from that full cup, not from fatigue, because abundance is what that you need to render to people. Let people learn on their own. Help them? Yes. Rescue them? Rarely. Plant the seeds, tend them, and trust the process. It will bloom. My laundry is still unfolded and my calls still go missed. My messages are still piling and my life is not a perfect folded life. But my friends, that's the beauty of it. In the pockets of the imperfection, I'm finding a perfect life for me. That's where I understood that if you want to move ahead in your journey, and if you want to take anything away from me today, it is about not the tick boxes, it's about the moments that you're living. It's about being that seed waiting for you to bloom. And that's what is about living beyond and above, becoming piece by piece, becoming whole piece by piece. Thank you, and good morning to this new beginning.